All right, so we give you a perspective of Isilon, the architecture. For those of you new, we talked a little bit about infrastructure insights, data insights. We talked about cloud, and then Ted talked a little bit about streaming, right? So that kind of question is where next, right? So the couple of things that you saw as the recurring themes. So one is basically this concept of unbounded scaling. There's a lot going on. I mean, like we talked about, unstructured data is the fastest growing data, right? So, and it is large data, right? So how do we keep up with it, right? Is the challenge that is focusing on, right? So how do we keep up with this data as this data keeps growing? How beyond what a single cluster, our clusters today can do 252, we can scale it further, but we need to think differently. How do we keep scaling, right? So that's one. Second is the insight side of it. All this data, the customers do want to understand what's going on with the data. You saw a sneak of what we have today, and then the third piece of it is as you see with cloud, and customers are not keeping everything in data centers anymore, right? There is data in the cloud. There's data now moving out at the edge. So you will be storing data at the right place at the right time for the right work use cases, right? So how do you access that data from the right location as when you need it, right? So those are the three big pillars of where we are investing in. And then this is basically our vision of the future. So we talked today mostly about Isilon, which is our scale-out file. As I said at the beginning, we do have another product, part of this unstructured data solutions portfolio, and that is ECS. ECS stands for Elastic Cloud Solution, right? So that's the other solution that we have. It's an object story, like this is his file, this is object. Wherever you saw, we talked about cloud and all that stuff, right? Instead of using public cloud, you could use a ECS as a private cloud. It has a nice S3 interface, so you could use that. Wherever we talked about public cloud, you could substitute that with ECS, right? And then we talked about file interfaces mostly, NFS, SMB. Ted touched on a little bit about streaming interfaces. ECS does primarily object, right? So we have these different interfaces, and you could sort of mix and match across the platforms. And then this concept of this mobility across, universal mobility, we call it, right? Across all of this. So not only just Isilon, not only ECS, but even beyond to other file systems, for starting with first within our portfolio and then beyond, and then other object data stores, not only within the portfolio, but beyond, right? So doing this universal data mobility bounded with data insights, infrastructure insights, and then giving you the flexibility to run not only just at the core, but in the cloud or at the edge. So that's basically where we are headed, what our vision is, where we want to be going.